Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am Amanda in the Dallas, Texas suburbs in Zone 8A, and today we will be harvesting some basil to dry. So I am just going to cut off lots of stems here because I'm going to wash and prepare them in the house where it's cooler instead of doing it outside. I think I'm going to start with this, and then if I need more, I can come out and get more, but I don't want to pick more than what I can handle on my trays. Okay, so I'm just going to wash this basil and make sure that it's somewhat clean. And since I am going to be dehydrating, I'm not going to really bother like drying it. I'm just going to loosely get some water off, and then I'm just going to peel the leaves off and place them on the tray. My husband was pointing out to me that we are out of basil leaves in our spice container, so I thought, well, we should dry some of our basil because we have a ton of it. Okay, so there are a couple of bad pieces on some of these leaves. I'm just going to pinch some of these off. That doesn't really matter. I could leave these because they're going to just be dehydrated and stuff, and it'll probably be fine, but I'm just going to take some of those out. I got the first tray done. I'm going to stick this in the dehydrator. And I will get the other trays done. Okay, so I am putting in the last tray. I did have to go back out to the garden, and I had to pick just a little bit more than I had before. What I had picked before, I covered 2.5 trays, and I have a total of 6 trays in here. So I'm going to put this on 95 degrees. For many hours. It's probably going to be at least 48 hours. I don't even know how high this goes, but I'm just going to check it. So I'm going to check it tomorrow, and I'm going to see how it's doing, and I might move some of the leaves together on the trays, so then I can start another batch on the upper trays or whichever tray set I want. So that way I can do multiple things at one time. Okay, so it's been about 15 hours since I started the basil in the dehydrator. So we're going to take a look and see how it's doing. So before I open the dehydrator, I definitely want to stop it because the leaves will get sucked to the back if I don't. So I'm going to wait for it to stop blowing. So just give it a second. There it goes. So let's take a look. Okay, so these are still pretty pliable. Definitely not dehydrated. Some of them are a little bit crunchy, but definitely very pliable. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these back in. Again, at 95 degrees. Okay, so it's been about 45 hours or so since I started the basil. So let's take a look and see how it's doing. It's seeming pretty dry, so I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Okay, so I piled up all the basil over here. There's one leaf that I found so far that's not crunchy, so I'm going to continue to dehydrate this leaf, and I'll probably go and get more leaves from the garden and dehydrate more. But for these, I am going to crumble on this silicone tray. This one probably needs a little bit more time to make sure that they're fully dehydrated. And so I'm going to dehydrate this a little bit more before I put it in the container that I use for my spices. Okay, so I'm grabbing the leaves and I'm squishing it and then kind of rolling it into my hands. And it's kind of a powder, but it also kind of leaf-like. I don't want like a basil powder. I more, what you buy in the store, like the basil leaves. And so that's kind of the consistency I'm going for. Of course, you could use a blender or some sort of chopper thing, but I find this is just quicker and easier. Then I don't have to clean anything else. Any parts that don't crumble easily, I just pick out and I put on the tray over here. All right, so I am going to spread this on this tray and put this back on the dehydrator, probably for another 2 to 3 hours, maybe longer. I just want to make sure that it is fully dehydrated. I did have it down the bottom, down here, just to catch things that fell through, but I think I'm going to put it on the top because I'm wanting to fill these other trays with basil leaves, and they're going to be damp from being washed and whatever, and I don't want that to drip down onto my basil powder or basil leaves. Okay, so I'm just going to set the tray in. I'm going to go ahead and start this. Just let this go. I'm going to go out and pick more basil and start the process again. So I pulled out the tray with the basil leaves from the dehydrator probably after about 4 hours. I probably could have pulled it out sooner. I was just busy and didn't get it pulled out. But I left it sitting overnight at room temperature. You don't have to let it sit that long. Probably just a few minutes would be enough to get it back to room temperature. But now I'm going to put it into my spice container. I'm just using a funnel here and spilling a lot of it. All right, I also have some left over. I'll probably just put the rest of this in a jar. So this is my spice container, and I'm going to leave this out and shake it once or twice a day to make sure that it's all completely dried before I put it back in my spice cabinet. I clean up my mess and put the rest of this in a jar. So this is what I have left in the jar, and I still have some in the dehydrator, and once that's done, I will also put it in this jar. And again, I'm going to leave this on my counter for about a week and shake it a couple of times a day, make sure everything is completely dry. And then I will vacuum seal the jar because this will be for a little bit longer term storage, and I will use it to refill my smaller spice container. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get notified when I post new videos.